What's up, guys? Just want to drop some fucking truth on everyone for a second because we all fucking need it. As I just see some psychotic shit happening in our society all the time, and retarded stuff, and just people falling for these stupid tricks the media always pulls on us and causes us to focus and rally behind tiny little minutia details happening, stuff that really has no effect on our life, but they cause a lot of people to get triggered. And meanwhile, actual things that do matter and will affect your life, nobody pays attention to because they're caught focusing on stuff that gets them triggered. So, got kind of inspired to make this video because I've seen a lot of these videos floating around Instagram and whatnot from friends about this anti-gay bill that they believe is passing. And I bet if you ask them what the bill's actually called, they won't even know what the bill's called because they haven't actually looked it up and read the actual bill. The media refers to it as "Don't Say Gay" bill instead of actually calling it by the bill, because if they called it by what the actual bill is called, people would look it up, they'd read the bill, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's reasonable, not a big deal," and no one would get triggered. So I think the bill's HB 1557 is one of them, and then yeah, that's a House bill, and then there's a Senate bill. Basically, both the bills say pretty much the same thing. They say that pre-K to third grade, there won't be any curriculum, nor will teachers encourage, facilitate, or promote discussions related to gender identity and sexual orientation for pre-K to third grade. And that's what people are getting super freaking rallied about. Like, I don't think I ever learned any sex ed until I was in like 5th or 6th grade. So yeah, also saying it's not saying that teachers are saying hate or they have to promote hateful stuff or whatever, or say that homosexuality is bad or freaking whatever, like name anything that would cause someone to get triggered. Like, it's not saying anything like that. Like the bill's name that keeps getting thrown around in the media. That's not what it's saying. Just read the bill. It's basically saying pre-K to third grade. Yeah, they're not going to be doing discussions like that. Like the schools in Florida won't do that. Pretty fucking reasonable. Whoop de fucking do. Third graders aren't having sex ed. I don't see the issue with that. But meanwhile, we have bills in California that are trying to get passed that would go into effect January 1st, 2023, and actually affect multiple people's lives. Probably people that are watching this that are on that left side of the spectrum. I know friends who actually posted this video and happen to be in the situation that I am. Basically, the bill that would be passed, I think it's called AB 1993, is one of them. And it basically states that in California, if you want to work, you have to be vaccinated, and I believe they consider fully vaccinated. You have to have at least 2 vaccines. So that's a bill that would come. Oh, and also independent contractors is included in that, and also employers will get penalized for allowing employees to work that aren't vaccinated. So pretty fucking egregious step on our liberties for employers' sake and for just personal sake. So that's pretty freaking crazy. There's also another bill that's trying to get passed that would force law enforcement agencies and give them this new power that would require them to enforce any public health order that California decides to deem as necessary. So if California has a public health order, that will literally require law enforcement agencies to enforce those new bills or mandates, whatever California decides, and they'll do that shit. I'm sure we've seen videos of what happens in Australia, and yeah, that's a pretty scary sight to see another Western society have their citizens get treated so roughly in the name of public health, which we all know that masks. I mean, I even saw this on Saturday Night Live skit. We've known this for a while that masks don't really do it. I mean, anything. It's pretty clear data, like across the board, there to where that Saturday Night Live can actually joke about it now. So if that's not kind of scary to you, thinking law enforcement agencies, which, yeah, give them this new power to enforce health orders on your life, if that doesn't seem a little could go kind of weird, then yeah, maybe you should like think about some of that stuff. And especially if you're on the other side of the spectrum that would promote this type of stuff, like you already don't trust cops. So yeah, that would probably be good to consider like this type of bill and maybe focus on that type of shit because these are things that will actually affect your life. Oh, and additionally, uh, with that bill, yeah, it would stop funding to any law enforcement agencies that chose that they didn't want to enforce that. And they probably would already knew that was happening because law enforcement agencies uh, and police officers or peace officers, whatever you want to call them, they swear an oath to the Constitution. If you don't think that's a good thing, it is a good thing because the Constitution protects your rights and you want the law enforcement to swear an oath to the Constitution because that protects your liberties. The reason that cops don't uh, like do effed up stuff to you is because of the Constitution. So if you know anything about the Fourth Amendment and how that still applies in our life when we interact with police officers, it's because of your constitutional rights. So it's really important that we have that. So anyways, these are things that are actually important, that actually matter, and we should actually care as Americans and rally behind these ideas because they actually affect our life. And if you don't think that civil liberties are important to protect, which I don't know why you would, but if you just want an example of societies that exist today, you've got North Korea, for example, which is a fucking hell probably if you've ever lived there. So yeah, I've never lived there, but I've heard people that did, and it sounds like a fucking hell. And then you've got Western societies that have a lot more civil liberties, which is a lot closer to a heaven on earth. Obviously, it's not perfect, but North Korea, Western societies that have civil liberties. Which one sounds better? Obviously, we would all choose these ones because we have civil liberties and it's not a fucking dark, twisted tyranny. And if you kind of wonder how societies like this ever turn into sick, twisted, tyrannical societies like North Korea, and then even have the examples of North Korea versus South Korea. And if you know anything about the Korean War, kind of went back and forth, and communism basically split. Western society got occupied in the South, and North Korea didn't. If you know anything about communism in the past 100 years, basic concept in all these times of egregious, disgusting, horrible things humans beings have done to each other. North Korea would be one example. Khmer Rouge would be another example. A bunch of other examples in Russia. I don't know that as well as Khmer Rouge, or obviously a lot of people know about North Korea. But the normal process that happens is the government, whatever, all the rhetoric goes around and gets in everyone's minds the psychosis of the ends justify the means. That's what literally happens. And then people give up all their freaking rights. People just do some effed up shit to each other because they believe the ends justify the means. That's what happened in Khmer Rouge. They literally were killing their family members who wore glasses because, according to the Marxist doctrine, people that wore glasses were associated with the educated class, and educated were the oppressors. So that type of shit that happens. If you don't believe me, look into Khmer Rouge. There's a bunch of other examples. So don't mean to be an alarmist, but this is important, and I am alarmed seeing this type of stuff and people focusing on whatever the media tells them to focus on, and they get triggered and then they just put all their energy into it. Meanwhile, rights are actually being taken away, bills are actually being written, and rights are actually being taken away from people. And when we give up rights, it's very rarely do we get them back. One example would be the Patriot Act. Since the Patriot Act happened, 2001 or maybe 2002, it went through, we haven't gotten those rights back since, and we probably never will. Very few cases where we give up our rights and we don't, and we get them back. So if you look at these examples of society with civil liberties and those that don't, like massive tyrannies, the more we walk in that direction, and governments have a tendency to do that because they're always wanting more power. Us as people, if we get divided and we allow the government to do that, because if we're divided, it becomes like a 50-50 thing, and 51% of like, oh yeah, I agree with that, bam, and then you know, when the right's in power and they're like, oh yeah, you know, blah blah, this person on this leader on the right says this is actually a good thing, and we're like, oh yeah, cool, I believe him, bam, and then we just lose our rights. And that's already happened under Bush. We gave up the Patriot Act. We also gave vaccine companies, this is the bill on the right, immunity from being sued from the damages that are caused from vaccine injuries. That's something that the right adopted or put forth. And then now we're in the time in the left where the left's in power. We're giving up our sovereignty over our own body. Like, if I don't want a medical procedure, I don't want anything in my body, it's my personal decision. People on the left used to fucking believe in that, but we don't, because we're in this stupid little left-right analogy, and we just keep moving to this freaking hell. Like, don't go to hell. Like, come together, use your common sense. Don't give up our rights. If we give up our rights, it could go really fucking bad. So please, please just consider what I'm saying. Look into this stuff on your own. Fucking Big Pharma owns our politicians. Like, if you don't believe that, literally just Google Big Pharma lobbying first quarter of this fiscal year. I believe it's around $92 million. It's more than any other lobbying company. Look into that shit. Look into how much Big Pharma sponsors our mainstream media. Like, they don't fucking care about you. They care about profits. And they're literally just owning our shit and taking away our rights. Like, and the more they take away rights, the more it goes to fucking hell. So don't let that happen. Please, Americans, just come together. We need to stop this silly bickering over silly little things that don't matter. We freaking love each other. We're an awesome country. We're making so much progress, and we continue to make progress in some things in awesome direction. We got to keep that up, but we can't lose things that actually do matter, like civil liberties, like dominion over your body. Is, if that's not the crux of freedom, like what is? Like, please, like, just consider this. We need to stop this. Seriously, this could get really bad.